I'll be back in 2 weeks. I love you. I'll miss you.
So here I am at LAX getting ready to go on the plane so that I can go to Armenia for the first time ever. We took the Air France Airlines, so we were first landing in Paris, and then from Paris we went to Armenia. And I never been because my parents came to America when they were very young. My dad was about 16, 17 years old, and my mom was 11, so they went to school in America and grew up here. And I never got the chance to go since they never went. So I was very excited to finally see Armenia and get to finally go because I've wanted to go for so long. And here we are leaving Paris and on our way to Armenia, which was about, I believe, 5 to 6 hours long to get there. Once we left Paris and we were finally on our way to Armenia, I had a feeling, well, they kind of told us that my family members were gonna be at the airport, and so was my dad to greet us. And I was nervous because I had to finally meet everyone for the first time ever, and my mom hadn't seen them for over 30 years. So it was kind of exciting, but also we were very nervous. Just a lot of mixed emotions. You're gonna see a clip here of us being greeted by everyone once we landed and got out of the airport. After we were greeted by everyone and we sat with them for a little and talked and caught up, we are now being driven to my dad's aunt's house, which was a little further away from the city, which is in North Marash. And we stayed there for the first 2 days, I believe, and then we moved to their other house in the city. And this is the view I had from my room where I was staying at my dad's aunt's house.
Good morning, Body Luis.
What I found so fascinating was how I could drink water straight out of the sink. In LA, we could never do this. So this is our first morning in Armenia, and I was still in shock that I'm in Armenia. We are at my dad's aunt's house still, and this is the cat that they always feed. It always comes around their house. It's like their cat, but outside cat at the same time. So this is our first day out, and we hired a driver to take us to a few spots. The first place we went to is the Armenian Genocide Memorial Monument called Zitzer Nakabert. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Please don't make fun of me. I don't speak Armenian that well. At least I speak it for being born and raised in America by parents who came here young. So this is me going down to put a flower and just visit the monument. So I was a little emotional here because I did have ancestors who were killed during the genocide, and my great-grandmother was actually a survivor. She was saved by French people who took her to an orphanage in France, and she didn't know her birthday, her actual name, so they just named her Nazik. And if it wasn't for her survival, I wouldn't have been here today. The next place we visited was the Yerabalur, which is the military cemetery in Armenia. And you're gonna see a mother or wife lying on their son or husband's grave crying here. A lot of people have a hard time coming here because they can't handle the emotions and see the mothers and wives crying on their children's or husband's graves. But I wanted to still come and show respect because I wanted to see for myself and show the world how many people are being killed, and the world is still silent today during the war going on right now by the borders while we were there. And this is another body they brought, again, that was killed due to the war. Due to Armenia being the first Christian nation, there's a lot of churches and a lot of history in Armenia. This church here is called the Saint Ripsima Church, and it was the first church we visited. Then we went to this church, which was also on the way. It's nearby. I don't know what this one was called, so I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to be wrong. But again, it was another very historical and old, beautiful church. And there was also a little cemetery or memorial in there for someone who was buried. I don't really know the history that well about it, but if you are interested in reading it, you can go ahead and find it online, I'm sure, and read about it. And this is the Cathedral of Echmiadzin. It's another historical church in Armenia. This church dates back to the 4th century, and it was going through some reconstruction right now, so we couldn't get inside, but even seeing it from the outside was really nice. There's a lot of tourists, and my dad asked these people where they were from, and I believe they said England. we also went to this historical church called the Saint Guyon or Guyana Church, and we just so happened to also crash a wedding ceremony going on, so we just lit up some candles, prayed, and left. One thing that's so hard for me when I go to other countries is when I see so many stray dogs and cats, especially this one that looked injured and hungry and old. Like, I couldn't stand to not feed them, so I gave it all the food we had. Anyway, we weren't eating it anymore and it was left over, so I gave it all to the poor dog. And we went inside. This is the mall in Armenia. It was called Dalma Mall. The malls in Armenia actually look like malls in America. There were even some similar stores like Mac and Aldo, but then there were obviously some stores that I've never heard of.
It's the Converse salon.
Traffic in Armenia was crazy. It was like downtown LA traffic for us in America. So we moved from my dad's aunt's house to their other family house in the city because it was easier that way with the transportation coming down to the city. And it was a building. It was a little older. Going down these stairs were so scary because it was dark and there were rats down in the alleys. So I was always turning the light on to make sure I don't run into a rat or fall on my face. Coming from America, for us, these buildings were very old, but it was a good location because it is in the center. So we were able to walk straight out into the city, and we walked for like 2 hours this day. This is the lake that Kanye West jumped into when he was here in Armenia, when he jumped in with all the fans. It was this lake. It's called Swan Lake. In the city center, Yerevan, Armenia, it's very nightlife. All the lights are on. Everyone's walking the streets. Basically like a European lifestyle or New York, where everyone is out till late at night walking. You walk everywhere. Armenia has a lot of talented painters and artists. Everywhere you go, you see some sort of art. When 50 Cent recently came to Armenia and did his concert, this was the hotel that he was staying at. The city was very beautiful with all the lights and people walking or sitting around having coffee and at the restaurants. It was all very beautiful when you're walking around. But if you're driving, the city was horrible because it took like an hour to get somewhere that should have taken like 10 minutes. This is the Republic Square of Yerevan. They call it the Haraparak. And every night they have like fountains and lights turn on here in the middle, but I guess we were late. We came like after 10 and it had ended already. The stray dogs in Armenia are so smart. This dog waited till the light changed and we all started walking for him to cross the street. Then this day we had spent the whole day with my mom's family, the people who greeted us at the airport, and we were with them the whole day. And then this is like late at night. My dad's side of the family, one of his relatives came and picked us up to take us to dinner, and it was such a pretty restaurant, but then the lights went out while we were having dinner. And yeah, we sat in the dark until we just left. So we decided to come and get our hair done in Armenia. Supposedly he was the best and he does like a singer's hair in Armenia. Well, he charged me a lot and he messed up my hair. In the next clip, you'll see what he did. He didn't even paint the inside of my hair, so it looks black compared to the rest of my hair. The sides, he left my roots black and then left like a white mark, and then dyed the top of my roots brown, and it just looks so gold. He only dyed the top of my head. When you look at it, overall it looks alright, so I'm gonna keep it for now, but then I have to pay and go get it fixed here in America again. And here we are at the cemetery. It's my mom's sister right there that she's putting flowers for. My grandma had a baby before my mom, who was the oldest, who had passed due to health reasons. And these are like some of her relatives that we are visiting and putting flowers for. This is my great-grandparents' cemetery, my mom's dad's parents. She's the woman that survived the genocide that I was talking about, who was an orphan child in France. Here we have arrived at the Gerard Monastery. It's a medieval monastery that was built inside the mountains. Walking up to this monastery is kind of like hiking, basically. We were out of breath by the time we got up there. So there's this natural source of running water going through this monastery, and it's believed to be like holy water, so we were drinking it and people washed their face or hands with it. My dad was helping me here go over the rock so I don't fall on my face into the water.
Estimation. Opal Merida, Ingao Sugar Katan. Սրանք տարբեր մրգերի են, քուրիկս։ Էսի սովորական լավաշ են, սրանց մեջն էլ մեղերը փոքր։
Չէ, սովորական լավաշ։
Սրանք
Ինչ միրգեր են սրանք։
Սի շլորա։
Հա, շլորի։
Ծիրան։
Here we have arrived at the Garni temple. It's the only surviving temple in Armenia.
Այ այնտեղ թագավորները լողացել են, իրենց բաղնիկներն ա եղել, այդ տեսակետ։
My dad was taking pictures of me here. I took a lot of pictures in Armenia. After we came to this restaurant called Yotkar, it's basically a banquet hall surrounded by mountains, and the view is the Garni temple. So this is the next morning. Our driver is taking us past Sevan Lake, and then we stopped here at a restaurant to have something to eat before we went to our resort that we booked for a night called the Lastiver Resort. You're about to see it once we arrive there. It was beautiful. Pulling up to the resort now, and the views around the resort are just absolutely breathtaking. The videos don't even do it justice. So not only did we come to stay at this resort, but we also wanted to drive up this hill to the Apagar Resort. It's another resort that has activities like zip lining, and I really wanted to do the zip lining here. So you're gonna see me in a little doing the zip lining. So we are getting dressed now in the ziplining gears so that we can go zipline. We look like kitchen cooks here with these hairnets. zip line, so I'm doing it with my dad's cousin's daughter, and my parents are just gonna be watching us and recording us. Not gonna lie, when I got to this part and saw how high it really was, it kind of scared me too, and the jumping off part, but then I got used to it.
Շարին նստի, կամ տե նստի, բարձրից տնարի, կամ չգիտեմ ոնց է, թե ծալիստիրին տնստի։ Իսը նստի։
Լավ է, Մայքլ։
Դե դիցը նստի ծավել լավ է։
Լսի ինչ ասա։
Վախում եք ինչ են ասում։ Ես օրինակ մորթել չեմ անում։
Կամ ձերքով մնացել։ Ուղղակի այս բանը դուրս քաշնիկներ։ Հա, եթե չկա տոպրան, այս բանը ինքնատիպ։ Հա։
Հա, մի կարա եթե վախում ես, կարող է ստակած կանի։ Մի արա։
Նայ, գնաց։
He had explained to me how I'm supposed to stop when I'm landing, and I didn't know that I'm supposed to do anything while I'm landing. So you're gonna kind of see me crash in the end on the other side. So that's me right there, about to jump. I'm kind of nervous to go, so I keep killing time, but then I go. So we paid some money, like about $10, to get a drone footage, and this is the drone footage of me ziplining. This is where it shows him giving me the signal to stop it, and I don't know what I'm doing, so I crashed. But then this was the last zip line I did, and I had already learned how to stop.
Չասիր նկարեմ, մալա։
Տեսա, հետո մոտիկացավ նոր տեսա։
So not only do we zip line, but you go to each zip line by hiking. So I was out of breath and exhausted after this.
Լավ էր, սիրեցիք։ Ինես, հոգնավ։
So after we finished ziplining, we were waiting for like half an hour for a taxi to come take us back to our resort because our driver had gone back home already. We are back at our resort and this is a little room tour. This is the room that me and my dad's cousin's daughter stayed at, and my parents were a few rooms down in a different room similar to this one. I was just so obsessed with the views. I wish I stayed longer at this resort, but we had only booked it for one night and then we were gonna go back down to the city. So then we got dressed up and went to the dinner area so that we can have some dinner, dessert, coffee, and all that. And there was a stray cat that kept coming to us and it was sleeping in my mom's blanket. I'm the animal whisperer. They all come to me. We came back to our rooms and got ready to sleep. And this is the next morning. We woke up and got ready to go have breakfast so that we can check out and start our next adventure for the day. We had a VIP balcony saved for us for breakfast, so we had our breakfast here and it was absolutely gorgeous. I'm obsessed. Once our driver arrived to pick us up, we checked out of our resort and started our day. The first stop we had was at Goshavank Monastery. It's a 12 to 13 century-year-old monastery in the village of Gosh. And we actually crashed someone getting baptized or christened, whatever you call it, here at this church. We've been crashing weddings and christenings everywhere. This next church is called the Hakartzin Monastery. I don't know if I said that right again, don't make fun of me. But this is a 10th to 13th century monastery. And inside this monastery, you're actually going to see a rainbow. Through the window, there's always some type of a rainbow shining through the window. What is this tree? How old? 800 years? This is the rainbow I was talking about, how through this window there's always some sort of a rainbow in here. We stopped by to see the Bars Leech. It's a lake that's pretty dirty, but it was on the way, so we just came to check it out. In Armenia, you see dogs, cats, and even cows everywhere. This next monastery is called Sevanavang Monastery, and it was located on the southern shore of Sevan, I believe. It was on a small island, and it's dating back to 9th century. The rest of the trip started to get very gloomy because it would be raining almost every day. So we wouldn't go out much, but we would go to restaurants at night with someone, like relatives or just ourselves, and have dinner. But other than that, we were mostly indoors. This day the sun came out, so we decided to go to Saghmo Savank Monastery. I wanted to check this one out because the views are absolutely breathtaking. You see views of the gorge and it makes amazing photos, so a lot of people do their weddings here, I heard. And this too is a 13th century monastery. Can we just take a second to appreciate this view? It was so beautiful. It looked like a painting even in person. Am I the only one? But every time I watch Armenians making bread in a tonid, I think they're gonna fall in there. another day. We decided to come look around and do some souvenir shopping. Lunch, and then in the evening we went to the Gosgod, and it's basically a giant stairway, and it's done by architects, and basically there's about, I believe I heard, over 700 some stairs, and we walked all the way to the top. We were exhausted and had to take a few breaks on the way. Exhausting getting up there, I think it's well worth it because this view is absolutely beautiful. Just a warning, going down these stairs were pretty difficult because the steps were pretty wide and it kept making me feel like I was about to fall on my face. I can only imagine if someone was drunk going down here. Do not try that. You will definitely fall. When we got back down from the Gosgod stairs, we went and had dinner at, I believe it was called Lemonade. It was a restaurant underneath on that street where the Gosgod is, and it's where a lot of the tourists go. We left so late, we would close down every restaurant with the workers. Sadly, this was our last day in Armenia, and we decided to go to the Khorvirab monastery. It's a church that was built in the 17th century, and it's the one where it shows a view of the Ararat mountain. As some believe, the Ararat mountain is where Noah's Ark landed on, and it used to be a part of Armenia, but today it's in the hands of Turkey. But you can still see it from Armenia. It's a little cloudy this day, so it doesn't really show that clearly, but you can still see it. Again, we crashed another wedding. There was a lot of people who were guests for the wedding, and there was also a lot of tourists here. What's interesting about Khorvirab monastery is that underneath there's a prison where Gregory the Illuminator was initially imprisoned for about 14 years by King Terragate III, and it was due to Gregory being the leader of spreading or converting Armenians to Christianity. And I was scared to go down at first, but then this lady came and showed me how to do it. My parents didn't want me to go down, but then I did anyway.
First, one leg. Then hold it. Ոնց որ աշճանները քշնես, լիքան քշնես։ Ինձ ձեռները ձեռքերի չասնես։ Մեկ իջի։ Մեկ, one by one։ Ինձ մի գնալի։
Լավ, թողդ կնկչում, չկար։
Թողեր իջի։ Թողա հետ ուֆ։ Մենակ ամուր բռնում։ Լավ, թողդ է really tight, yes։ Իջի։ Ես կանայում եմ, իջի։ No, come on։ Ահա։
This is what was underneath. This is basically the prison that Gregory the Illuminator was kept in for 14 years.
Հետո որ տեսնա որ իր տեսիլքները բանեն ու իրան հանել են, ինքը այդ խոզի բանից դուրս է եկել։ Գնացքը շոկ երմաններ են հանել, ինքը ասպետ ապրել է։ Ուղղակի մի հատ բառան, ինքը դուրքացը դեկտիվն ու ինքը ապրել է։
It's believed if you keep a wish and come down here, your wish should maybe come true. I didn't know coming down, but I did pray right before coming, so I guess that counts.
Մեկ կամած բռնվի ֆրա էսկո սկուշ էստորից
And this is the view of the Ararat mountain. It was gloomy, so it doesn't show that well, but you could still see it a little. So I was looking through this telescope thing, I don't know what it's called, but it was so weird because you would see the other side, which is Turkey, and like the border. And it was so weird to see how close we are to each other. We saw a couple military helicopters going around, and I guess it was due to being close to the border with Turkey, and especially with the war going on with Azerbaijan's border. I guess they were just being more cautious in securing the area. It was kind of scary to see that. But then this is the next morning, and it was early morning. We were getting dropped off at the airport to go back home. So sad to leave that I cried, no joke. As the plane was taking off, I was bawling my eyes out. I will for sure be back, hopefully next year. I will be back, Armenia, I promise.
Paris, Lyon, Marseille, եւ հենց հիմա Air France-ում օդում չգիտեմ քանի 100 մետր, 1000 մետր բարձրության վրա Չայկովսկու երաժշտական դպրոցի ուսանողները ձեզ համար փոքրիկ երաժշտական ֆլեշ մոբ կկատարեն։ Մերսի à vous.
While we were on our way to Paris so we can get our connecting flight to LA, there was an Armenian school that is well known and respected who happened to be on our flight, and they decided to do a performance for everyone on the plane. So that's what they're doing here.